heard some noise coming from the woods.
I hear some noise.
Two sets of torches coming towards us.
Literally right through these trees.
Echoes call from hollow halls, a voice that creeps and softly crawls. Time stands still, the air is.
When the sun goes down, the forest changes. The trails grow silent, the wind turns colder, and the darkness begins to watch you back. Most people go camping for peace, fresh air, and a break from the real world. But for a rare, unlucky few, the real world is the least of their worries. Tonight, we're diving into 6 of the most disturbing camping encounters ever caught on camera. Encounters that blur the line between the natural, the supernatural, and the unexplainably human. From a paranormal investigator stalking a skinwalker in the dead of night, to a lone camper who discovers a camouflaged stranger secretly creeping toward his tent, to whispering forests, witch dens, haunted cemeteries, ghostly voices, and something walking through shallow water that should not have been there. These aren't campfire stories. These happened, and they were recorded. So get ready, and whatever you do, don't look behind you, because these are the 6 most disturbing camping encounters caught on camera. Dan, the host of the popular YouTube channel Cursed Urban, is known for leading viewers on potential adventures into the world of cryptids and paranormal activity. His channel is dedicated to investigating locations steeped in frightening legends, often challenging the entities he seeks. In previous explorations, Dan has tracked legends like the Wolfman of Northwest Illinois. This evening, Dan returns to the infamous Skinwalker Forest, a location he notes is rampant with paranormal activity and sightings of various cryptids, including Mothman and Hellhounds. His mission is clear: to intentionally provoke the Skinwalker by breaking the rules, calling its name and whistling in hopes of drawing it out for the camera. Despite the warnings, he sets up his unauthorized campsite and prepares for a terrifying night. Dan starts his patrol deep down the dark trail, repeatedly calling out the entity's name. He even uses the Navajo term, Yinaudloshi. Almost instantly, a noise is heard coming from the dark woods, a response Dan finds alarmingly immediate after using the name.
That means Skinwalker. I just heard something back here. I just heard something back here for sure. And that's kind of funny that I just said its name and then immediately heard some noise coming from the woods. Right away, like almost instantly I heard noise coming from the woods. So yeah, those are things you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to whistle. You're not supposed to use its name, and yeah, because I guess it can sense when you're looking for it, or if you're afraid of it, or even if you think about it or talk about it, even not using its name. So yeah, so we do all of that. We do all of that in an attempt to find one. Good idea, bad idea, I don't know, don't care. I mean, I kind of do care, but you know how it goes. See, the only bad part of being out in Skinwalker Woods, this part of Skinwalker Woods, is the further I go this way, the louder it gets because it gets closer to the highway. But on the other hand, this is where the most activity has been reported. So it's kind of a double-edged sword on this part.
A little later, while using his spirit talker device, Dan hears a distinct sound that causes his heart to pound, the jingling of a chain coming right through the trees.
was that? Dude, my heart's pounding right now. I don't know if you guys could hear it because it was so faint. But right through these trees, literally right through these trees, I heard the sound of a jingle, like of a chain jingling. I heard it was distinct. It was a distinct sound of like a chain, like if you just grabbed like a rusty metal chain and shook it. That's what it sounded like. It was loud enough. I think the camera picked it up. You might have to.
Not free.
You might have to raise your volume to hear it, but Godfrey got a name. Godfrey. That was weird, though. That was weird. Is there anything out here with us? There it is again. There it is again. Right when I ask, is there anything out there with us? I hear that. It wasn't the chain this time. It was just something moving out here. I don't know. It could be like a loose dog. But I mean, I think it'd be coming up to us by now. Or we'd at least hear it like walking or sniffing the ground or something.
He describes it as the unmistakable sound of a rusty metal chain being shaken. The spirit talker responds with the name Godfrey. As Dan moves further down the trail, he hears a low guttural growl coming from ahead.
What is that? What is that? Dude, something's growling at me from up ahead. Something's growling at me from up ahead. What is that? I can hear it right up there. It's gone now. There was something growling very distinctly, like a low growl. Like you could almost, it's one of those growls you could almost feel instead of hear, you know what I mean? Like if you've been by like a predator in the zoo, like a tiger or a bear or whatever, and you hear it like growl, that's what it sounded like. Alright. think I might. Someone coming from that way too. Someone's coming from that way too. Guys, dude, I'm freaking myself out. Alright, I think I'm gonna head back to the campsite. Straight up. I'm gonna head back to the campsite and we're gonna get some more answers and stuff. Or try and get some more answers out of Spirit Talker, and then we'll chill for a little bit, and then I'll come back out here and make another run down these paths. What I'm hoping for is for it to get a little bit later, and you hear all that road noise over there.
He describes it as a growl you could almost feel instead of hear, comparing it to a big predator like a tiger or a bear at a zoo. The strange activity then hits an unnatural halt. After the growl, the Spirit Talker goes completely silent for about 10 minutes. Dan speculates whether the presence of an apex predator, like a skinwalker or hellhound, might cause the surrounding environment and communication to cease, mirroring how all other animals go quiet when a dangerous threat is nearby. Retreating to his stealth campsite, Dan continues his investigation by his red lantern, unable to start a campfire due to the damp conditions. Again, the chain jingling is heard. Immediately after, he hears distinct whispers straight ahead. The Spirit Talker responds with a cryptic and disturbing message. "We make the noises." Later, after hearing the chain jingle for the loudest time yet, the Spirit Talker gives a single word, agitated. A little later, Dan hears something walking through the forest right behind him. Though it could be a small animal, he notes that something is definitely back there. Around 2:50 a.m., With everything having gone quiet, Dan decides to turn off the lights and attempt to sleep on his cot, leaving the camera running. Around 3:00 a.m., Dan is suddenly awakened by two sticks cracking right next to his tent, followed by the sound of something or someone walking straight across his camp.
Alright guys, I just woke up. Two sticks cracking literally right next to my tent. And then I heard something or someone walking straight across. I don't see anything out there though. I don't see anything out there. I don't see anyone out there at all. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Alright, I think, dude, I'm not gonna leave. I'm not leaving this tent. There's something out there. There's something out there, dude. I'm not leaving this tent. Alright. Alright, I'll check back in if actually I'm gonna leave it running. I'm gonna leave it running. I'm not leaving it, dude. I'm not leaving. Okay guys, I have not gone back to sleep at all. It's about, I don't even know what time it is. My phone died. I don't even know where my phone's at. But I haven't gone back to sleep. I've just been sitting here. Silence.
He is frozen in place, unable to see anything outside. He declares he is not leaving the tent. He remains awake until daylight. Reviewing the frightening moments, he describes the movement of the entity that walked outside his tent. It did not sound like a four-legged animal. Rather, it sounded bipedal, two-legged, and was taking very big steps, suggesting a large figure. The creature started right next to his tent, woke him up, and then moved around the front and down the path he came in on. As the traffic and bird calls announced the arrival of daylight, Dan concludes that this was one of the wildest and most exciting nights he has had so far. He affirms that the Skinwalker Forest is no joke and expresses his eagerness to analyze the footage of the night's final encounter. He ends by expressing thanks to his supporters and noting that, in a strange way, speaking to the camera provides a sense of company, making him feel less alone out in the darkness. What do you make of this encounter? Before we go any further, I just want to ask you for a small favor. If you're enjoying the video so far, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. We are pushing to hit 200,000 subscribers before the year ends. It feels impossible, but I know we can achieve it together because your support has been unreal. I know you'll subscribe, so without wasting more time, let's get back to the video. The channel known as the Hoggett Project chronicles the host's solitary journeys into the wilderness, often seeking out remote and challenging locations for overnight camping and exploration. The focus is on traditional survival and bushcraft, but the host also documents the unfiltered, often intense psychological experiences that come with being isolated in the deep woods. His goal is to share both the beauty of the outdoors and the unsettling reality that the greatest danger in the wilderness may not be the animals but an unknown human presence. On August 12, 2024, the host arrived at a secluded spot in the mountains, identifying a promising, level area near a creek and a pipeline for his campsite. The ground was noted as soft, suggesting animals frequently passed through. The host diligently set up a sloped tarp shelter just as darkness began to fall. He also gathered an excessive amount of firewood for the night ahead.
And as you can see, I'm still working on getting this tarp up. Trees are kind of in an odd formation. I'm also realizing this is not just a square tarp. But should be able to figure out something. This is what I came up with. As you can see, it's sloping with the hill. It's getting pretty dark, so you got this set up just in time. Now let's get everything else going. Not so sure the incense worked. Scare off bugs. But it does smell nice. This could be where I just hang out. Oh, this ground is soft. That might cause a problem. I gathered twice as much firewood as I thought I'd need. That's usually what you do. So that's what I got. Went back to the vehicle. I have this Carhartt here. And this thing's tough, you know. So I think what I'm going to do is just lay it down on the ground right there to keep these legs from sinking into the ground. Yeah, it's looking good. I kind of like how it's open out that way too. Lets a little bit of light into these woods.
Before total darkness, the host used a Carhartt jacket to prevent his chair legs from sinking into the soft ground. As twilight transitioned to night, the atmosphere at the campsite rapidly shifted from peaceful to profoundly unsettling. The host heard a heavy sound nearby. Though he initially rationalized it as old, settling logs, he noted that the area was otherwise completely desolate.
And I don't think I was recording earlier, but something made a heavy sound over there. Could have just been some old rotted logs settling. But up that way, a couple miles, there is a camp. But I don't think anybody's hiking this way back down. Anywho, I've heard that the red lamp keeps the bugs away. I don't know if that was me or something over there.
Realizing that the unnerving presence of something or someone would prevent him from enjoying the trip, and recognizing the high risk of encountering people rather than animals, the host made the decision to pack up and leave the secluded campsite.
Basically, it was all set up. It was getting dark. I had just gathered all the firewood. I had run back to the vehicle to grab my Carhartt jacket. Right about that time, as I sit down, I hear some noise. And I thought that my keys have hit the chair a certain way. And as I'm thinking about it, I'm about to go about my business, then I hear behind me where the creek is, about only 50 feet, I hear a couple more loud crunches. And that's when I stand up and I just shine the forest. Of course the noise has stopped, and I'm guessing whoever it was, it found a good spot to lay low. I didn't see any eyes glowing back, didn't see any movement, other than I did see a bat. But definitely that is not what made the loud noises. And all this, I probably shined the light on the forest for a good 3 to 4 solid minutes. Nothing. And I said, okay, and I'm thinking I'll go back to just doing what I'm doing. But this is the second occurrence. Probably about a half an hour before that, I heard it up the hill. This time it's down parallel with me. I scouted the woods when it was daytime, just so I can get a good idea of what's around me. It's not really easy terrain to maneuver in. And anywho, I sat there for a minute and I was just thinking, okay, do I go ahead with the fire? I was like, well, I don't know if I'll have fun now. Then the other one out here, and it was really dark back in these woods.
The host concluded that this was his most terrifying camping experience, because it highlighted the grave truth that people are the ones to fear in the deep woods, not the animals. The entire incident, the good campsite was abandoned due to the realization that the location was riddled with people, forcing the host to cut his trip short for the sake of his safety. What do you make of this encounter? The Grizzly Gaz channel follows the eponymous host, often accompanied by his loyal dog Fendi, as he undertakes solo overnight camps and explorations in remote or supposedly haunted locations. Gaz's content blends rugged camping with paranormal investigation, using his van as a base camp to venture into the unknown. The channel emphasizes a down-to-earth, slightly anxious perspective on the paranormal, with a focus on real-time encounters and the psychological effects of being alone in the wilderness. Grizzly Gaz set up his van camp beside a secluded reservoir, adjacent to a forest locally rumored to be the dwelling of witches. After preparing a meal and setting up his electric blankets powered by a Jackery Explorer for a cozy night, he and Fendi ventured into the dark woods to investigate the legends. As they made their way down the path, the woods were oppressively quiet, save for the wind and Fendi's own movements. Gaz immediately felt uneasy.
It's very, very quiet, apart from the wind and the odd aeroplane going overhead and Fendi farting. When we get back to the van, I'll let you all know how Fendi's doing. Don't be going through them puddles, you idiot. Go on this way. I always feel like somebody's just gonna pop its head up over the wall. Hey, annoyed out already. And there it is, the witch's den. You ready, mate? Yeah. You can hear the wind just whistling through those trees. I'm sure I just saw a light or maybe some eye shine. I hope there's no cows in there. There's always cows in there. Always bloody cows. I shat my pants then, look at that. I thought there was someone stood there on edge of woods just staring at me. It's the end of a dry stone wall. Right, come on. Stop being a baby.
The tension mounted as he kept mistaking parts of the wall or shadows for figures watching them from the edge of the tree line. The objective was clear: find the rumored witch's den. After navigating the increasingly dense wood, Gaz and Fendi discovered an opening, and eventually a dilapidated structure covered in debris, which he recognized as the witch's den.
Don't like that. Oh, here it is, I think. We found it. Yeah, check it out. You see the 5-pointed star with bells on it. Hung up there. There were loads of other bells last time I were here. Well, last time I camped here anyway. Just rattling about in wind. Don't think we can get in there, mate. I can't squeeze in there anyway. I'm too fat to get in there now. Getting creeped out. Keep hearing stuff.
The area was marked by a chilling sight, a 5-pointed star, with bells hung above the entrance, which rattled in the strong wind. Gaz remarked that the sound of the bells, coupled with the squeaking trees, intensified the creepy atmosphere. The wind was not the only source of noise, however. Gaz soon grew quiet, intently listening to sounds that were not just the wind noise. Deciding to sit down and observe, he turned off his torch to listen. He soon identified a sound that was distinct and large, concluding that whatever it is, it sounds big, and speculating that it sounded almost like a dog maybe. Fearing what kind of creature might be lurking nearby, Gaz decided it was time to leave the forest. As he rose to leave, Gaz was convinced he saw something, noting he was pretty sure I saw eyes shine right up there on the side of a wall.
Pretty sure I saw eyes shine right up there, on the side of that wall. It looked pretty big as well. Hold on. Where's my other torch? Alright, so it might have been whatever it was peeking round the side of that wall. It's like a T-junction there with this wall, and there's a gap between this long one here and then the one that goes along there. Well, I ain't got any tools with me. Got no knife, got no axe, got no saw, but I've got a Fendi. Oi, Fendi, this way. Are you having a piddle? Don't worry, I'll watch your back for you. Everyone always tells me to look up, but the only reason why I'm looking up is for branches. Right, oh shit. Come on, let's get out of here. I'm sure I've just heard someone sneeze. What the fuck?
He added that the reflective eyes looked pretty big as well, reinforcing his earlier belief that a large animal was watching them. Without tools for defense, he urged Fendi to hurry. Just as they reached the edge of the woods, a final, inexplicable sound startled them. A sharp noise that sounded like someone sneezing. Gaz considered this the strangest sound of the night, as it was unlike anything he had heard before. Feeling genuinely unsafe, they quickly exited the tree line. Gaz noted the immediate calmness outside the woods, and admitted he felt much better away from whatever was lurking inside. Grizzly Gaz and Fendi retreated to the van, shaken by the growing number of strange sounds, the unsettling atmosphere, and the final sighting of what he believed were large, reflective eyes. The lurking presence was never identified, remaining a chilling mystery. However, the paranormal encounter was abruptly overshadowed by a very real, non-paranormal emergency. Shortly after getting back to the perceived safety of his van, Yates discovered several declined charges on his bank card, totaling nearly £500, indicating a real-world attempt at fraud. Gaz was forced to immediately abandon the rest of his campout to find cell service and block his card, concluding the video on a note of frustrated urgency. What do you make of this encounter? The Tiny Nomad channel chronicles the adventures of the host, Gina, as she travels and lives out of her trusty 4Runner. Her content focuses on solo female travel, car camping, and exploring unique, often remote locations across North America, with a particular affection for Alaska. Gina's videos are characterized by her resourceful nature and her willingness to push her comfort zone, frequently incorporating spooky destinations and stealth camping challenges into her travels. On October 29, 2025, Gina's initial plan for the Halloween special was to car camp at the iconic, abandoned Igloo Hotel near Denali National Park. However, upon arrival, she found the entire area blocked off and inaccessible after a frustrating day of minor travel mishaps, including a disheartening drive through a sad-looking Denali and a subpar pizza dinner in the nearby town of Talkeetna. Gina pivoted to an even more unsettling location for her overnight stay. Her new mission: stealth camp at a known haunted cemetery in Anchorage. After a long drive, Gina finally reached the Russian Orthodox cemetery. The cemetery's unique features immediately set an eerie tone, particularly the brightly colored, cage-like structures covering the graves, which she would later learn were known as spirit houses.
So this is a Russian Orthodox cemetery. I've never been to one of these before, but they have the coolest, I shouldn't be saying cool, I'm like surrounded by a bunch of dead people right now, and I'm saying their little tombstones are cool. Oh God.
Despite her initial excitement for the location, the isolation and oppressive quiet quickly made her uneasy, especially after noting the day's string of bad luck had made her fearful that spirits might stalk and terrorize her. The paranormal activity began almost immediately upon parking. Gina noticed a light mounted in front of the small church within the cemetery that kept activating seemingly on its own. She confirmed the lack of wind and initially thought it could be an animal, but the pattern quickly became too coincidental to ignore. The light's activity intensified right as she focused on the paranormal.
You guys, I'm not making this up right now, but there's a light in front of the church, and when you walk past the light, it turns on. I know, because I walked over there 2 times to look at the cemetery, and now I'm in my car, and it's flicked on 2 times. It's not windy outside. It could be an animal, I guess. I did hear something in the bushes as well when I was looking at one of the tombstones. I don't know if that's what you call them, because they're not stones, but you know what I mean. There's no way I'm going to be able to sleep tonight here. I'm going to try, though. I do not like how that light keeps turning on and off. I'll show you what I'm talking about. There's a light that lights up the front of the church. And there it goes. It's turned on twice since I've come back. What do you think it is, guys? Do you think it's animals or wind, or do you think it's ghosts or spirits?
The light flicked on right as she began discussing ghosts or spirits. It turned on again as she was researching the unique grave markers and discovered they are officially called spirit houses. Most unsettlingly, the light turned on yet again immediately after she read a description stating that the spirit boxes symbolize shelter for the departed soul in the afterlife. Overwhelmed and genuinely scared, Gina conducted a quick online search and learned the cemetery was, in fact, one of Alaska's most notorious locations for paranormal activity.
I was just reading a little bit more about the spirit boxes, and they symbolize shelter for the departed soul in the afterlife. Right as I read that sentence, of course, that light turned on again. Of course, it could mean nothing, but it could mean something. You guys let me know. What do you think? Okay, I really haven't researched much about this cemetery until right now. Obviously, our plans from earlier got a little messed up. I was going to be camping at the igloo. So this was a quick last minute change of plans. Well, I just learned that this cemetery is one of Alaska's most notorious locations for paranormal activity. I cannot make this up. I did not know that until right now. Oh my God. I feel like I have to stay because I committed to it, but your girl is scared. I do not like that light coming on and off. It's not even windy outside. I do not want to be around paranormal activity.
Despite her fear and the persistent, flickering light, she felt a commitment to her audience and refused to leave. As a safety precaution, she decided to leave her window blackouts off. This was a major break from her stealth camping routine, done so she could instantly jump into the driver's seat and bounce in the middle of the night, if necessary, admitting she was definitely feeling a presence around me. Not really pleasant, unfortunately. She resigned herself to a potential all-nighter, choosing to face the terror, rather than break her promise for the special. Gina managed to get some sleep, reporting that the night was better than she expected, though every tiny noise was frightening, and the light continued to be a menacing presence. With the sun rising, and the paranormal activity ceasing, Gina quickly packed up her 4Runner. She had successfully completed her spooky Halloween stealth camp, surviving the night at one of Alaska's most haunted cemeteries, but was eager to leave the eerie grounds behind. What do you make of this encounter? The Moxley's Paranormal World channel, hosted by Moxley, often accompanied by his friend Ming, is dedicated to exploring and camping overnight in some of the UK's most notoriously haunted and dangerous locations. Their content blends outdoor survival with intense paranormal investigation, aiming to capture definitive proof of the supernatural. They often venture into areas rich with tragic history, using a combination of traditional and modern ghost hunting equipment to document their unsettling encounters. Moxley and Ming arrived at the Petria Pits, a location riddled with grim history and considered one of the UK's most haunted forests. The area is the site of the 1910 mining disaster, where 344 people tragically lost their lives.
I keep thinking I can hear people up that side. Possibly can, but the place is huge. But the history to it is unreal. But there's a lake just to my right here, and it's said that a white lady has been spotted around it. Let's have a look. Bet that is horrifying at night. But yeah, there's been multiple reports of a white lady seen at this lake. I have to say though, a white lady, she gets around, doesn't she? Well, yeah, you can just see now, just through the trees, this is where pit number 3 is. where 344 people lost their lives. And then to the left is where one of the UK's worst mining disasters happened, just up this way.
That was over there somewhere, the first one.
Yeah. It sounded like kids to me.
It sounded like 2 kids and a female to me at the time.
As they began trekking in, Moxley established the pervasive sense of unease, noting the historical reports of a white lady and apparitions of minor spirits. While searching for a secluded spot to pitch their tents, they heard what sounded like the voices of 2 kids and a female nearby, an unsettling sound given the remote location. As the explorers set up camp, the environment grew increasingly hostile.
Away from the trail.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm stood over there. Before that whistle, and I swear, through the trees, something went through the trees.
Okay.
I can't rule out somebody on a push bike.
Right.
But then,
It's possible.
that whistling,
Yeah.
that whistle. So it's definitely people out here.
I've just heard them over there. I think it might have been somebody just whistling to others.
Yeah.
Moxley swore he saw a silent black shadow move quickly through the trees. Not long after, a very loud whistle was heard, suggesting people were watching them or something else in the woods. Well past midnight, just as Moxley prepared for a ghost hunt, he spotted 2 sets of torches approaching the camp.
So let's venture out there. Wait a minute. There's people in the woods. What the hell? I don't know if you're seeing those lights. There's definitely people there again. I think we're just going to walk over and do a bit of a ghost hunt. It's not coming up. Ming?
Yeah.
Ming?
Yeah.
Right. There's 2 sets of torches coming towards us, mate.
Right, okay.
I knew I heard something. When I was laying in the tent, I knew I heard something. Yeah, that is. I'm going to flash back over towards them. They're over there, where my torch is now. Yeah, you can see it. See them? Yeah, they're coming this way.
When Moxley flashed his light toward them, the approaching figures extinguished theirs, only to restart them and begin strobe lighting the camp, creating an atmosphere of deliberate intimidation. The night was unlike any other for the team, characterized by a relentless feeling of being watched and a blend of unnerving human and paranormal encounters. Despite the constant threat and the genuine fear caused by the approaching lights and the feeling of being followed, Moxley and Ming survived the night in one of the UK's most haunted locations. Josh Life Adventures is the chronicle of a man, known to his audience as Josh, living life on the road in his custom van, documenting the authentic realities of van life. The channel covers everything from vehicle maintenance and organization to cooking and solo camping in picturesque, often remote, locations. Josh's straightforward, casual style and dedication to sharing the highs and lows of minimalist living have created a community of dorksters and lovelies who tune in to watch his continuous journey across the American landscape. The channel's content often focuses on resource management and finding freedom in simplicity, always striving for the next great adventure. On November 11th, 2024, the adventure began near Lake Superior as Josh focused on a vital van life chore, charging his batteries. After a work week, he dedicated his final day in Minnesota to maintenance. He undertook a deep clean of his living space, sweeping out the area beneath his bed and tidying the interior. He meticulously organized the van's essentials, including the refrigerator and water tank, and revealed the essential components stored beneath his floor: tools, toys, and his LiPo battery and diesel heater setup. Later in the day, realizing the charging efforts were futile due to cloud cover and the sun setting too low behind the trees, Josh relocated to a designated campsite by a lake. Despite his best efforts to choose a favorable spot, the perpetual van life curse struck. The wind, inevitably and annoyingly, blew straight into his parked vehicle. With the van situated, Josh turned his attention to his stockpile of firewood. He quickly built a roaring fire to burn through the supply and prepared his dinner. Sizzling burgers. The strange incident occurred just as he began the burger taste test. While casually describing his food, a distinctive, unidentifiable sound began emanating from the dark surroundings.
Do you guys hear that? Okay, my camera battery just died. I have no idea what that was. It's gotta be deer. Right? What would be walking through a lake? Is that a bird? Huh. Well, I think I'm gonna pack up and get inside the van.
Once inside, he relayed his concern about the nature of the sound, stating he had no idea what was out in the water. He described the noise as something that sounded like it had legs, and it was walking through the water, leaving him chilled and ready to end the night early, relying on his diesel heater for comfort against the cold and the unnerving sounds outside. The next morning, the sun shone, but the mystery remained. While overlooking the peaceful lake, Josh returned to the disturbing noises from the night before, noting that was creepy. He pointed out that the noise came from an area near the rocks, where the water was only a couple of feet deep. The fact that the entity sounded like it was walking and was moving in such shallow water led him to playfully, yet seriously, speculate. Sasquatch. Maybe. Wendigo. The mystery was never solved. The final night in Minnesota proved to be both productive and profoundly unsettling. Despite accomplishing essential van maintenance and enjoying a meal cooked over an open fire, the peaceful solitude was shattered by the sound of an unknown entity wading through the shallow waters near the campsite. The incident reinforced the unpredictable nature of solo van life in remote areas. Josh wrapped up his time in the state, promising his audience that more unpredictable adventures, including himself as a lost puppy, out in the wild, wild west, were on the horizon. What do you make of this encounter?